take a quick look at the Bold Kentucky blend from the HH line of Mac Baren's fine tobaccos. This, of course, is primarily Kentucky from both the U.S. and Africa. And this is a 2015 sample, and just enough Virginia in there to kind of keep things from getting too dark on you and make them smoother and add just enough sweetness that it's very, very palatable, rich, and enjoyable.
Greetings. So I thought I'd do one more. I don't know when I'll get this one uploaded, probably Saturday or Sunday or something like that. But this is one that surprised me, and it's kind of funny how I ended up with it. But it's a Mac Baren from the HH series. It is Bold Kentucky. And you probably just saw some drop-in pics in the beginning. So it's pretty dark. It's pretty dark looking. This is a 2015 tin. I was actually, back during my Christmas channels, make sure I got the seal on that good. And this is the bigger of the two tin sizes. This is the 100 gram, 3.5 ounce-ish. Anyway, I like Kentucky. I've come to enjoy it quite a bit. Almost always you're going to find it mixed with like a little bit of Virginia to kind of bring out some brightness and sweetness back into it, because it is a dark. It is the Sumatra, if you're a coffee person of the tobacco world, kind of. A lot of people say hints of barbecue, and it is basically barbecued tobacco, if you want to think of it that way. It's in the Burley family, but it's a specific strain, from what I understand. People that grow it don't call it Burley. They always call it Kentucky leaf. So, tomato. Genetically, it's in the Burley family. But the places that produce this, they just pretty much call it Kentucky leaf. And basically what happened is Mac Baren realized they were sitting on a huge stockpile of some really good Kentucky that they had for a while. And of course, they maintained humidity and everything on it, and a lot of it was aged really well, going back to, the early, some of it the early 2000s, and it depends. I don't know what they're working off of now. It's probably some of the same, but so that's what prompted them to kind of come out with the Old Dark Fired, which is a huge success. They didn't expect it to be as big as it is, and there's actually a good video about that I'll probably try to find and put in the Dropbox, because it's worth watching. It's a pretty cool little video, and it's like a little bit of a factory tour talking about that. So look in the Dropbox for a link for that. And this is like the adults only, like this is the strongest, boldest thing in the Mac Baren line as far as strength. This would be like This would pretty much be like one of their brown number 4 twists or bogeys or something. It's you got to be ready for it. You need to have eaten something. Everything that they warned you about Nightcap pretty much apply to this, because they're not kidding. It does have a nick hit, but it's one of those I probably honestly would not have bought. I would have been gun shy. I thought that I had picked up Old Dark Fired. I actually had come across a stash of some Samuel Gallus stuff, and I was literally loading up my buggy, so to speak, with that at a brick and mortar we'd popped in at during some travels. And I think I basically looked at Old Dark Fired, and I grabbed this 10 of Bold Kentucky instead. And I guess I just thought I looked at one and grabbed the other kind of situation. But it's a 2015 10, and hold on one second. Anyway, pardon the brief interruption. Anyway, it's a really dark, flavorful tobacco with a lot of body. And I probably would have been gun shy to just try it on my own initiative, but since I screwed up, and since it was a 2015, and it had, that's nice, it had a little age on it. We're rocking like 5 years pretty much of life. And I still had a good seal on the 10, and, it wasn't overly dry or anything. It's kind of almost leathery. It's about like it looks. It's very leathery. This is some deep barbecued smoked stuff. And, but it does have some subdued sweetness from the Virginias in it. And I was not prepared for how smooth it is. And I don't know if that's the aging on it, on top of it, but I think a lot of people that have tried it have probably commented that they're surprised how smooth it is. It is a full tobacco, but it's also a very flavorful and enjoyable tobacco. So don't be too terrified. They almost run you off in the description a little bit from it. Like, oh, this is the most powerful thing in the lineup. For experienced pipe smokers only.
Indeed, you are powerful, as the Emperor has foreseen.
What that really translates to is, if you're a nicotine lightweight, probably not for you. But if you like Kentucky and full flavored tobaccos, just be sensible with it. So the it's almost like a latakia when you look at the smoke coming off of it. Anyway, whew. Always nice to hear one of my dogs hacking in the background. Go sit down, spoiled butts. Why? I have to go sit on a couch like a savage. Something similar that's very cost effective and a little bit lighter would be, believe it or not, the Amphora Kentucky is a really nice blend. It's got Virginias in it, a little more Virginia in that, a little less Kentucky, but still a very sizable helping of Kentucky. And that one, it was a little different when I fresh opened the pouch. It's almost like tinned tobacco in a pouch with some of these new Amphora offerings, like their Virginia and their Kentucky. Um, mm, Realized I better shut up and smoke this a little bit or it's going to go out. I went ahead and rubbed it out, as you saw. This is about a flake and a third's worth. They're kind of longer flakes. Not real thick or not real thin, kind of in the middle. Maybe a little on the thin side, but they're so leathery it feels more substantial. It's a very dense flake, if that makes sense. I guess they all are, but this is really, it's just so resiny. Mm. And so there's a couple different Kentuckys in here. I think there's some from Africa and there's some from North America. And there's a really nice Virginia pulling out a little bit of sweetness in there. Not a ton of Virginia in it, but just enough to hit that bounce point where it's not bitter. Mm. There's a little bit of a subdued sweetness, but mostly what it is, it's just not bitter, which is exactly what you need in a blend like this, because that puts the Kentucky is the star of the show. That's what this flake is all about. If you don't like Kentucky, don't try this one because this is about the Kentucky. But there's enough Virginia in there to just temper it. And of course, being an HH, they're minimally topped. They're topped just enough to help them keep their blends consistent from run to run and season to season. Not enough to be detectable or anything. Everything's topped to some level. Pretty much everything is. I know other people more knowledgeable than I have covered that, but the H&H line is kind of the pure tobacco, and it is. I mean, all of it's manipulated a little bit as far as consistent. That's they have to control consistency. You don't want to get 110 and love it, and 110 and hate it. So that's kind of what they do. But there's nothing you're going to detect in this other than some really fine tobaccos. This is a tobacco lover smoke right here. And don't make the mistake of thinking you have to be a burley lover to love Kentucky, because it really is its own thing. Genetically, they're in the same family. They're very nearly the same plant. I mean, you have different strains, in anything, but especially, I don't know what a fresh tin is like, but something with a little age on it like this, whew, man, it is smooth. And it's such a deep, dark forest of earth tones and flavors that I almost can't believe it wouldn't be substantially the same fresh. But this is just, it's smooth, smooth. I know I say that a lot, but that's because there's a lot of things that aren't smooth. And I mean, I think we've all experienced them. So when you get something that's just got that refined, smooth, enjoyable, there's little subtle nuances in the flavor, but it can be rich and smoky, creamy. This is all of those. Mm, mm. And there's a little bit of a tanginess that comes with Kentucky too that I really enjoy. Not as much as with like a Turkish or Oriental tobacco, but it's there, and it'll build on your palate a little bit as you enjoy it. You may not get it, right at light up or anything. Hmm. It's just a really enjoyable tobacco. So I really expected this to just be ferocious, and there's nicotine in it. I mean, in that respect, it is, and in having a lot of flavor and nuance and being a very rich tobacco, a very dense, rich flavor profile. It is, but it's not jagged and rough at all. And that surprised me because, like I said, this was a purchase mistake, is what this was. But it was a very happy mistake. And if you think Burley breaks in a pipe really nice and gets some cake started, wait till you smoke some Kentucky. Couple bowls of Kentucky after you smoke some Burley. This is my newer Dolomiti, so I've plugged in 321 as I've plugged in all the recent videos. Um, and I've got a little, it's not even a thin skin, it's the beginnings of what will be a thin skin. It's getting ready to skin over. A lot of times, what takes me from that point to, oh, we got a skin all of a sudden, is like two bowls of some Kentucky. And that one, or, I don't know. I may actually have, I think that's in my go bag. I don't have the Amphora Kentucky where I can grab it and show it to you. But it's a blue pouch, and you can look it up anywhere you look at tobaccos. It's like $7 or $8 a pouch. So if you're at a B&M and they have an Amphora bunch of stuff, I hear really good things about the Virginia. I need to get a hold of some of that. But this has a little bit of the Virginia in it with a nice helping of Kentucky. And it's a very nice broken flake, and it's a legitimate broken flake, ready rubbed kind of thing. It looks a lot like St. Bruno's as far as the ready rubbed aspects of it. And then you've got, of course, much more darkness to it. But I would say when you get it, go ahead and open the pouch, shake it around a little bit, let it get some air, leave it for 10 or 15 minutes, close the pouch back up, and, you can go ahead and try it. But for me, it was much better after I had the pouch. I closed the pouch back, but it had been opened. So I'm not going to say I had left it open. But I had opened, the pouch, just like a lot of tin tobaccos. You crack the tin, let it sit for a little while. And it was just a little on the moist side. And that really smoothed out nicely. I think I let it sit about a week, and I came back to it. And that was just the way it happened to run. It wasn't by intelligent design. But it was much better at that point. And this, of course, I guess with the age on it, right out of the tin. I've had it jarred since a few days before New Year's. So nothing substantial has changed. It's really really nice. It's really really smooth. Really really rich and flavorful. So that's really the main message I have on this one: is don't be afraid of it. Mm, mm. And it burns nice. It seems to stay. I rubbed it out pretty good. So for me, that's what I usually do with flakes. Your mileage may vary, but it stays lit pretty well. So odds are, whatever you do with flakes, it'll probably work pretty well with it. I know some of them, you might fiddle a little getting it to get started good, but then, I just tend to rub it out. I feel like I get a lot of the flavor profile that way evenly. And I don't have tamping issues or issues at, getting to the bottom or anything. So it's just what works for me. I've tried folding stuff with some flakes before and had varying decent results. It just, sometimes I'll leave some kind of shreds of less broken up stuff in with the fluff that I break up and kind of combine the two to textures. But I'm just not really a folding stuff guy. That may change with more time and experience. Who knows? You live and learn, right? Mm, 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 mm. Do not be afraid of this. It may be a bear, but it's a teddy bear. It's a teddy bear that you want to hug and pet and call its name George. Mm. And if you're somebody that's a little wary of burleys, like I said, it's its own thing. This is not a bitey tobacco. I realize I am smoking an aged variation, but it's just so hearty and rich. I just can't believe that even without the age, it would be a world different than this. I'm sure this is a little smoother, but even if this had a little bit of an edge to it, it would still be wonderful. So, mm, 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 mm. And it's a good slow burning tobacco. Let me try a little light tamping. Yeah, like we've barely moved down this bowl, and I've almost freight trained it a few times here. And I mean, this isn't a big bowl, but we're like, a quarter of an inch down from where it started. I had it pre-charred. That's not the tobacco, by the way. I'm fighting off some crud.
You think I'll go for a walk? You're not fooling anyone, Look, isn't there something you can do? I feel happy. I feel happy. Ah, thanks very much. Oh, see you on Thursday. Right.
Don't laugh at my Pioneer One flowery insulated mug. I rock it like a man. It's one of my wife's. I feel pretty. It keeps hot stuff hot and cold stuff cold. I really don't care what's on it. Of course, when guys pick out stuff, it's probably going to be like black and chrome. So it's just the way the world works. I don't know why. If it makes her happy, it still keeps hot stuff hot and cold stuff cold, right? Mm. This would be a really wonderful one to just sit around a campfire with, have a good conversation. If you're so inclined, an adult beverage. Just a nice, deep, dark flavor. It's not a tobacco you should rush because it might hurt you, Nick Hit was. But it's also not one you want to rush. So that's probably a good thing. Mm. And it's rich enough, you're not going to feel like you've really got to freight train it real hard. And it just is what it is. It's a really good, deep, dark forest of flavor. There's really no better way I can put it than that. if you haven't delved into the Kentucky blends much, I can definitely recommend this one. And if you're on a budget or you want something you can just kind of throw in your backpack or whatever for hunting camp or whatever, fishing camp, whatever your activities are, the for the money, the M4 one is fantastic. It was $7 for like 1.5 ounces. I paid a little more because it was a brick and mortar in a major city area, suburb, whatever. I think I paid 24 or something, but I actually got a discount off of that, so I didn't really pay that. And I think these are like the big tins like this are like 21, $22, something like that. So by the time I got my 15% discount on it, I probably paid about what it is online most places. So, yeah. I'm going to try to not let this one hit 20 minutes. I'm doing a terrible job of that because this is just, I could get lost sitting here. I forget you're here. You know, that's how good it is. Hey, when did you get here? I would definitely put this in the nice, slow, contemplative smoke category of really enjoyable tobaccos. I wish that I had had some experience with Old Dark Fired to compare it to, because I know a lot of people have tried that blend, or flake rather. So, you know, my shortcoming, unfortunately, probably doesn't help give you a something you can throw on your personal scale. But do not be afraid, my friends. Do not be afraid. That is my advice on this one. And I haven't really smoked this since we got back, just because I brought home so many tobaccos. And I found several new ones besides them that I really like, and I have to spend a little bit of time with each of them. So I knew I liked this one right off. I knew I had made a good happy mistake right away. I mean, within a half a bowl, I was like, oh, well, I don't regret this at all. The only caveat, like I said, besides, you know, you probably want to have eaten and not have an empty stomach, is always a good idea, you know, or at least have a beverage with a little bit of sugar or something in it. You know, those are all things that help you with higher nicotine tobaccos. The only other thing you need to really keep in mind with this, and I say this about like Gaslight or a lot of things that people have, Elizabethan, things that people feel like, oh, I just can't take the nick hit, you know, and you have to know your own comfort level and level. That's important. But you know, discretion is the better part of valor. Just know when to put it down. You don't have to smoke the whole pipe just because you loaded the whole pipe. Unless it's a really tall pipe, I almost never half pack something, but I'll set it down and come back to it. I do that all the time. And I'll probably be doing it with this one because, let me just see how much of it. Yeah, we've barely moved. We're down a third of an inch. Like I said, it's a very slow, because it's so dense. It's a slow toker. Definitely some barbecue smokiness, just wonderful. If you like, you know, nice smoked barbecued, I'm talking about real smoke stuff, hardwood smoked, you know, not something with some fake artificial smoke on it. But if you like that thing, you know, in anything you consume, and you like Virginia, and you like I said, I don't think you have to be a huge Burley fan to enjoy Kentucky, because it really is its own thing. But it does magical things with the right amount of Virginia with it. And this is one of those smokes. So anyway, we did not we did not successfully keep this to less than 20 minutes, but I hope you all are having a blessed weekend. And going into the next week, I hope you all have a blessed week. This is the U.S. Piper enjoying a fine, fine smoke of the H&H Bold Kentucky from Mac Baren. And may all your smokes be good ones. The U.S. Piper out.